Good morning, folks, and we are back for our Math Up Wednesdays. And again, we're looking at proportional reasoning, as you can see in the upper corner there. Last week, we looked at the junior common task. This week, we're going to go up a level and look at the intermediate common task. And so I've already got it brought up, and it reads, complete task 1 or 2. Use a number line to show the fraction that is halfway between 0 and 1 1/8. Explain why the fraction is half the size of 1 1/8. Fill in numbers on the number line to show that your answer makes sense. So this one's going to be a little bit trickier. Really need to think through all the different elements. What does 1 1/8 look like on a number line? What are the intervals that I'm going to be using? What's the proportion of that? And so on. So again, we're going to jump over to our smart notebook because it's easy to draw. And I go to my line up here at the top. And we're just going to draw a line right across like so. Again, my proportions, I suspect, are going to be a little bit off, but I'm going to use my pen. And I'm going to draw my line there. And we're going to make that 0. Now, when I think about 1 1/8, I know that that 1 also represent 8/8. And so when I think about 1 1/8, that's the first thing that jumped out at me was I want to do 1/8 intervals until I get to that 1 1/8. And so we're going to go like so, and I know it's not exactly right, but there's my 1/8. And there's my 2/8, if I think of it that way. Or I can also think of that as being 1/4. And so I'm going to continue on. There would be my 4/8 or my 1/2. We'll continue on. There's my 3/4 or 6/8. And then finally, there is my 1 or 8/8. So it did say between 0 and 1 1/8 though. So I have to go one more spot, and I'm just going to put my 1/8 down there for now. And this is where I'm going to look at my intervals and try to figure out, okay, what's the halfway point? So if I go back and look at my question here, it says use a number line to show the fraction that is halfway between 0 and 1 1/8 and explain why it's half. And so as I do this, I can count my intervals. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that makes sense. That would 1 1/8 is the same as 9/8. So halfway between 9, though, is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. So my halfway point is actually going to be halfway between these. And so I know that 1/2 is the same as, oops, my drawing's not good, is the same as 4/8 and 5/8. And this is where the proportional reasoning and the measurement aspect of this is going to become tricky, and why it's really considered to be an intermediate common task, because what would be halfway between 4/8 and 5/8? Well, sort of could write 4.5 or 4.5 over 8. But the other thing that I can do is I can take double those numbers. So 4/8 is also the same as 8/16. 4/8 is the same as half. 8/16 is the same as half. And so this one, 5/8 would actually be 10/16. And so it becomes more obvious what's halfway between them. Well, it's going to be the 9. And if I double that 4.5 over 8, what is 4.5 double? Well, it's 9. And so my answer in this particular case is going to be the 9/16 is going to be halfway between 0 and 1 1/8 or 9/8. It makes for an interesting solution, though, when you think about, we just said that this value is the same as 9/8. Well, how did I get that answer? Half of 9/8, I hold that 9 as my numerator, and I simply double my denominator, and that's going to give me the same value. And so if I understand proportional reasoning, I could jump immediately to that. If I understand what a fraction represents and what its value is, half of it is simply where I'm going to double the denominator. And so half of 9/8 is 9/16. And so that's my check and my explanation. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit in terms of what the MathUp program is, what it looks like. These are some of the basic ideas. There is more literature related from a administrative and a teaching aspect where we're really looking at the assessment piece, and that's what we're going to look at for the last couple of weeks of this particular school year. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you next week.